Hello guys, what is up? It is me, Prince of Otis, and I'm back here with another video. Today we are doing What If Asta Was the Reincarnation of Zoro, Part 2. Let's go. Having been reborn in a new body without any of his memories, Roronoa Zoro, now known as Asta, pursued mastery of the sword in another world. A world full of magic, but he didn't have any magic. And pretty soon it was time for the grimoire ceremony. There Yuno got a 4-leaf grimoire while Asta got a strange grimoire containing 5 leaves. This grimoire turned out to be the holder of his sword, which he now knows is named the Demon Dweller Sword. Now being full of excitement, he told Yuno that he was going to be the Wizard King. Everyone in the tower starts to cheer more at the declaration of these two commoners, but the nobles aren't having it. Some of them left in frustration. Asta and Yuno are still staring each other down until the elder of the tower comes between the two. Alright, break it up you two. I'm sure you'll both become great magic knights. But can I check that strange grimoire of yours, young man? He was talking to Asta, who then proceeded to show him the pages. The elder was really confused at the grimoire. He couldn't understand any of the glyphs. Then he stared at Asta and confirmed that he had no magic. Then he hands the book back to Asta, telling him to be careful. Asta is confused as to why he would say that, as he just decided to ignore it, shrugging his shoulders. Him and Yuno started to head out, to find out that they were so caught up in their little stare down that their family left them behind. Yuno says, "This is your fault." Asta, mad, says, "What? How is..." "You said that just to piss me off, didn't you?" Yuno says nothing as he walks past Asta, who runs after him, demanding that he answer him. Pretty soon, the two are outside the tower when two nobles walk out demanding that they hand over their grimoires. One of the nobles says, "You won't be needing those anyway. You'll just embarrass yourselves." The two nobles then look in terror as Yuno was preparing an attack. This attack blasted them into the forest before they could even react. Then Asta and Yuno continue to walk on their way, and this is when the chain mage comes out from behind. Asta notices it just in time enough to push Yuno out of the way. He gets wrapped by strange chains, and Revchi, the chain mage, walks out. "Hi, you two. Sorry, but I'm gonna need you to hand over those grimoires. I promise, so I'll put them to good use. What do you say?" This is when Asta just easily breaks out of the chains, just shocking the chain mage, and Yuno then gets up mad as hell and ready to attack, but Asta stops him, cracking his neck. "Let me take care of this, would you?" Yuno says, "I'm guessing you're not actually asking me, are you?" Asta says nothing as he pulls out the Demon Dweller Sword, but this time it's brimming with a more weird aura, which only makes Asta feel more confident. The chain mage looks at Asta's shadow and sees a devil. Get away from me!" He launches chains at a high speed, aiming to smack away Asta, when in a moment Asta is behind him, and he's putting his sword back in his grimoire. All of a sudden, the mage throws up blood into the air as he falls to his knees, passing out. Yuno is impressed seeing as Asta never used this attack before, so he asks, "What the hell was that new trick?" Asta says, "Not much, I just slashed him 5 times. Yuno's jaw drops, but he quickly regains his composure, because that's who he is, says, "Didn't expecting less from my rival." We time skip 6 months when the boys arrive at the capital for the exams. During these past 6 months, Kruger and Asta was sparring to the point where Kruger actually told Asta to just go meditate or something, because he needed a break. Asta took his advice and did what he would call meditation. He stood in the middle of the forest surrounded by trees and closed his eyes. He could hear the sound of nature and the slightest bit of vibrations from the earth, the direction of the wind, and the sound of his own heartbeat. He then opens his eyes as they slightly flash red. He felt like he had a 360 view around his surroundings. Then he spun around from the spot he stood, creating a new move, Crescent Slash. He looked around and saw what his technique did. He chopped down all the trees around him within a 1-mile radius. This shocks even him, but he thinks that this is good progress, and also thought that he should probably think of another name soon. The two are in line getting looks of hate, jealousy, and love. This environment feels really tense and everyone feels a bit on edge, while some just look really laid back. It finally came time for Yuno to show his grimoire, and when he does, the examiner is shocked to see this type of grimoire. He yelled this out loud by accident, which made people murmur and talk about it because it's weird for a commoner to have that. The examiner passes Yuno and then comes Asta. His jaw drops. 5-leaf clover? What the hell is wrong with you two? You're commoners. Be like normal commoners. What commoners have grimoires like these? Once again, everyone was impressed but also confused. Asta has no magic, so it makes no sense. The examiner just is like more scared because he heard of the 5-leaf clovers. In the 5th leaf lies a demon. He hands the grimoire back to Asta while shaking a bit, allowing him inside. As he steps in, Asta just gets surrounded by birds that won't stop pecking him. They're obstructing his point of view as he just tries to tell them to leave. While attempting to do this, he bumps into a large man about 1 foot taller than him because honestly he's not that short. But he still feels pressure from this guy, and it is huge. This guy's gonna kill him. Yami then actually says, "Do you want to die, kid?" Asta smiles as he pulls out his demon dweller sword, and Yami is very happy. Finally, somebody with guts. He then notices that the kid is holding a katana and is shocked because he knows what this sword specifically is because it came from his homeland. It's a cursed sword. Yami asks, kid, that's a cursed sword, you know. Are you sure you want that? Asta says, what about it? You're gonna fight or not? Yami smiles and he's just ready to go when he's stopped by the captain of the Golden Dawn. Yami smiles at him. You're lucky. Yami leaves and goes up to his seat. Now he has a certain interest in the kid. The presence of the captains made all the magic birds fly away, but one is still hiding. And we know who this is. Vengeance then uses his tree magic to make magic brooms, and that's the first test, the flying test. Yuno does it effortlessly, but Asta can't fly, so he doesn't even try. He knows his limits and doesn't care because that's not what he's good at. However, people start laughing at him before getting a death glare from Yuno. As Yuno is more outgoing with his emotions. Asta is his brother. He cares, obviously. Next was the targeting part of the exam, and Seki tries to show off by using his magic to destroy a target, but when it's Asta's turn, he uses Flying Phoenix 180 Crescent Slash. I said he could alternate the moves. This is how I'm alternating it. He destroyed all the targets in one blow. This completely just shocks the captains and they're very impressed, but they don't know what to think of the kid. His abilities aren't magic based, but they're so powerful. And that sword, it intrigues them the most. Next was the creation part of the exam, which Asta fails horribly, and he just stands there because he doesn't care. Again, that's not what he's good at, and he knows that, so he doesn't try. Now it was finally time for the combat portion. Asta was waiting for this. Yuno goes first, and of course he just gets underestimated until he completely destroys his opponent with one spell. Asta was excited and told Yuno, "Hey, why don't we just fight? You still have magic left, right?" Yuno smiles, saying, "Of course I do." Everyone is shocked that he still has magic after that, and that this guy would challenge him knowing this fact. The two stand in front of each other as Vengeance tells him to begin. Yuno instantly jumps back using a barrage of wind blades that launch at Asta. Asta takes his sword out and cuts the wind blades effortlessly, rushing forward. Yuno expected as much and used his new magic, Towering Tornado. However, unlike in the original, he didn't push back Asta with it. It encircled Asta, and the pressure of the attack was so strong that it started to blow back everyone. Yuno was hoping that this would work, but to his dismay, Asta just walks out, using invisible haki to cover himself as the tornado just disperses. Yuno doesn't know about haki, and even Asta barely knows about what it is and how to master it completely. He just naturally knows how to use it, and he's close to mastery. He doesn't understand it, but he doesn't care because it helps him get stronger. Everyone is shocked and they start to cheer. That kid is awesome, he just walked through magic. At this moment, Asta was emanating a lot of ki that Yami felt, and it was spiking. And in an instant, he appears in front of Yuno with his blade to his neck. Nobody kept up with his speed except Yami, and even then he was impressed. Silence falls as Yuno puts his hand up. Alright, I give up. It's not like we can go all out here anyway. And not that you wouldn't have won. Don't rub it in my face. Asta scoffs, putting his sword back in his grimoire. Man, these tests are annoying. We couldn't even go all out. Everyone who hears this is dumbfounded. They were holding back. Aren't they commoners just like the rest of us? Seke at this moment is scared as hell, and he's scared that he ever tried to mess with him. He was trying to show off and trying to belittle Asta, but now he's biting his nails nervously as everybody just looks at him. He's like just mumbling weirdly, and they just take a step back from him. Vengeance is a bit surprised at this spectacle, and clears his throat before saying that they have seen enough. It is time for us to choose. The nervous kids line up for their judgment as most of them get rejected, but some of them do get taken in by the groups like the Crimson Lions, Purple Orchis, but that's about it. Now when it comes to Yuno, everybody raises their hands for him, but he does choose the Golden Dawn. Asta feels proud of his young brother as he steps up next. The area is filled with murmuring, with people wondering what's going to happen to this kid. The captains start to talk amongst each other as Asta gets a bit nervous, and after they're done, Fergolion steps up. Young man, what is your power? Are you hiding your magic? It looks like you can use wind magic, right? Asta says, I have no magic at all. I just wanted to slash the air hard enough to create pressure that hurts my enemies. It's all physical strength. The jaws of the captains drop as they cannot believe this. Silver gets up. You say you're powerless, but you have a grimoire that holds a sword. Explain yourself, commoner. Asta says, first of all, I have a name. Second of all, my grimoire has 5 leaves, which gives me the power of anti-magic. Anything that has a magic source will be cut, reflected, or absorbed by my Demon Dweller sword. He pulls out his sword and they feel slightly weaker. He then puts it back in his grimoire and Silver sits down pissed that he got told off by a commoner. Then all of a sudden the 4 captains raise their hands. The captains are Yami, Fergolion, Jack, and Rill. Rill is from the Aqua Deer, the guy with the blue hair that can paint stuff to life. Asta is surprised, but of course he chooses the Black Bulls as Yami starts to laugh and Jack would ask why he would choose the worst squad. Asta says because he looks like fun. He says this with a huge smile as Yuno isn't surprised by this answer at all. It's typical Asta, just making decisions based on his emotions, not being logical at all. Pretty soon everything calms down, and before leaving with their squads, Asta and Yuno would fist bump as Asta says, next time we meet, it's on the battlefield. Yuno says, I know, don't wuss out. Asta scoffs at this as they go their separate ways. He walks through Finral's portal and in front of him he sees a huge castle. He has arrived at the Black Bull's hideout. He starts to be mesmerized when out of nowhere the door just bursts open, chunking out a bit of wood that Asta catches. He then feels Yami pat him on his shoulder. Welcome to the lowest of the low, the worst order of the Magic Knights. Asta looks at the burning building and crushes the wood chunk in his hands. Then he takes his first step into what would be the best years of his life. He enters the castle and introduces himself, but they hear nothing because they're fighting, and that's why the castle is built, bursting with fire. Yami then yells at them to stop and introduces their new member. Vanessa approaches him trying to tease him, but he tilts his head in confusion, which reminds her of Yami a lot. She blushes a bit and backs away. Magna then comes up to Asta trying to assert dominance, and realizes that this kid is actually way taller than him. Alright, shrimp. I'm Captain Yami's right-hand man, and your senpai. Asta bows respectfully saying hi. Magna says, no matter how much everyone acknowledges you, I won't unless you have this robe. To get this robe, you need to go through something we like to call a baptism. We go outside where Magna explains how everything will go. He tells Asta that what he's about to do, and Asta just stands there, and this makes Magna a bit mad, so he goes all out. Finral knows what's about to happen and was about to intervene, but Yami holds him back. Just watch. Finral was confused but then turns around to see Asta dodging all of Magna's fireballs like it was nothing. This impressed him and everybody else. But then Magna gets serious, making a way bigger fireball that he launches. This is when Asta smiles with that devilish smile that Yami recognizes, so he knows something about to go down. And then he pulls out his Demon Dweller sword. He then coats it in hockey, turning his sword into a more dark purple color as he slashes the air. Crescent slash. The huge fireball gets cut as a confused Magna is then hit by some invisible force, skipping on the ground until he slams into a building face first. And everybody just looks at him. Ooh, that's gotta hurt. Everyone's jaws also drop, and a worried Asta runs over to help up Magna. Magna slowly gets up. That was some good wind magic. Asta says with a disappointed tone, I don't have any magic. He hangs down his head, expecting that even his teammates will now torment him for having no magic, but Magna says, that just makes you even more amazing, Asta. Don't look down on yourself. Now you're a part of the Black Bulls. Magna smiles at him and he hands him the robe, and Vanessa adds a little something different that she thinks really adds to his style. It's a black cloth which she wraps around his head. Vanessa says, now you look like a Black Bull. Asta then smiles thanking her, and then all of a sudden he's surrounded by everyone telling him how cool he looked. Luck wanted to fight him, Charmy wanted to give him a delicious cookie, Ghost just shows him a picture of Marie, but Gray and Gordon are too shy to say much, obviously, but they like him. We got to a different perspective. A girl, hiding kind of in the shadows, uses the sword so well. He's probably a noble. I need him to teach me. After this test was over, Asta was shown his room. Then he fell asleep immediately because he's that lazy and he didn't do anything else for the rest of the day. But the next day he has to do chores, and Magna says that first he will show him around the place. So he shows him stuff like their bath / onsen, their library, and a cage containing beasts that Yami caught as pets. Yeah, even saying that a lot. I've been saying that a lot, and I still can't get used to the fact that this motherfucker caught dangerous beasts to keep them as pets. What the fuck? Asta goes to touch one of the beasts when one bites him. This did nothing, however, because despite his lean appearance, he is very, very strong. He pulls out his hand and Magna was scared as shit until he saw that it was just a little cut. And Magna asks, I was sure he bit off your hand. Asta then says, what, you wanted to bite off my arm or something? Magna says, no, it's just weird. Do you think that's normal? You want to explain yourself? Asta was about to answer when they heard a step. The two turn around to see Noelle. Fight me, she says. She points at Asta, obviously, who was caught off guard by this. Oh, I'm ready to go down anytime, but I usually like to know the names of my opponents first, says Asta. Noelle then says, I'm a noble from the Silver family. I'm Noelle Silver. What family do you come from? Magna starts to laugh as Asta tells her his name and says that he is not a noble at all. She gets a bit mad, feeling like they deceived her, and uses a water ball, launching it at Magna, but it goes straight for Asta. Asta just coats his arm in hockey and punches the attack straight on, dispersing it everywhere. The three get wet as Noelle covers herself up, seeing as her shirt just became see-through because of the water. Magna was a bit mad, but Asta was intrigued. He even noticed that she had a sword at her side. Are you a swordsman too? Maybe we can spar right now. Obviously, he's very excited. She runs away in embarrassment, and Magna then drags Asta to his chores, and he does them pretty fast because he wants to go train and hopes that he will even meet that girl again. We cut to Noelle, and she's waiting out. She's just outside swinging her sword, which looked like a saber meant for fencing. The more she swung the sword, the more distressed she became. If I can't be good at magic, I'll be a swordsman. She swings one last time and drops the sword, noticing that her frail hands were bleeding. She drops to the ground and just delves more into despair as tears start to fall out, reminding her of her past trauma with her family. Then she hears something and gets up super fast. Who's there? Show yourself. Asta then comes out from behind the tree in front of her, waving and smiling. This is when things go wrong. Despite Asta genuinely trying to be nice to her, she takes this smile as a cover-up for his true intentions, so she loses herself. I'm gonna end it there. Like usual, I hope you guys liked that what if, and for any background noise that you may have heard during the video, I apologize for that. And also back to the topic, yes, I am canceling all Dragon Ball what ifs for now. Actually now I'm canceling until I feel comfortable doing them again, because the more I kept looking at the Dragon Ball story, the more you realize that Dragon Ball just escalated way too fast from like Saiyans, no, from like Goku as a child with a tail being like in tournaments to freaking universe battles. That's really annoying sometimes when you have to put that into a story and not make it boring because the power ups are so excessive that it gets just bullshitty. So that's why I stopped it for now. But I am taking a shit ton of requests right now for like Deku what ifs, MHA what ifs, because I mean I have some, but like 3 is nothing. I'm all good on Naruto what ifs, and I have a few more coming. I have a pretty interesting one in my mind right now. I even wrote it down. Yeah, that's about it. Have a good day. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share this video with anybody else who may like what ifs. And also follow me on Instagram. I'm plugging my Instagram again. I'm using it so I can show you guys the thumbnails before I post the videos. And just, just to interact a little bit more than just talking in the comments. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.